Hello everyone, my name is Dorian and welcome to another track guide with the LMP2. We are at Suzuka and this is one of my best combos. I would say, like, I really enjoy driving here with this car. It just fits perfectly. After the update, the car is very stable around here. Don't feel like it's overpowered like it used to be, and it's actually much nicer on the curbs as well, so you can take a little bit more liberties with it. And even though it's slower, for me it's more fun. Now, I'm just going to show you guys the lap real quick, and then we're going to go over it corner by corner. See you on the track. Okay, so we're coming up to turn number one. Let's look for a braking point. So initially we're going to start to turn in and then we're going to brake. So we have this access route. As soon as we reach it, we're going to start to turn in. And as soon as we finish crossing it, we're going to start braking. Around 40%, and I'm going to modulate the brakes here from 6th all the way into 2nd. I'm only going to put it in 2nd right as I approach the 2nd corner. So I'm downshifting quite slowly here, and you can see slight modulation. I'm going to 30%, back to 40. Depending on how much speed I'm carrying, I'm getting a sense of how much brakes I need. Only really starting to release the brakes now. Into trail braking, put it in 2nd, and look for the apex. Looking for a pretty early apex because I got so much camber and rubber here. It's not a problem. I can be very early on the power, and I am. 50%. I was a little late to open up the wheel. I should have opened it up just a tiny bit earlier. I had a little bit of oversteer, didn't use as much of the track as I wanted, but I still made it work. You can put 2 wheels on the red curb here, not a problem. Don't put it on the green curb, kind of risky. Now, all the way up into 3rd, and I'm gonna release the throttle in 2 stages here. So I'm gonna lift, no brakes needed. Lift to around 60-70%, and then lift again, just trying to carry as much speed as I can into the corner. Going all the way to the inside, clipping the red and white curb, and back on the power immediately. Around 40-50%, nice and smooth, just maintaining my minimal speed and getting some stability on the rear end. That's all I'm asking for the car right now. I'm not trying to accelerate throughout the S's, just maintaining my speed, that's it. Lifting again, and a little bit of brakes. You can do it without brakes. I like doing it with. You won't scrub the tires as much, and you kind of guaranteeing you're going to hug the inside here, which is vital because it sets you up for the next corner and the one after that as well. 50% power, lining up the car nicely to the middle of the track, and as it starts to turn right, back to 100%. So I'm being very patient here with the power. Lifting again as I turn into the left. Would have been smarter to dab the brakes just a tiny bit to get a little more rotation done early, but it was still decent because I was able to stay in the middle of the track for the exit. Already back on the power, 50-60%. Line up the car to the middle, as that's where you want to be. And staying on it to a little while longer before we lift again. So right as this kind of curb starts right before it. Touching the brakes very softly, just trail braking throughout the halfway point of this corner. So I'm just put it in second, and I'm just gonna hug it very neutral the whole way through, staying on the inside, which gives me a short route, and that's where all the rubber is. You don't want to be on the outside here unless you're overtaking a lower class. Now I'm using the inside curb of here to just rotate the car nicely on the power. 50, 40, 50%, and the car is rotating very nicely because I want to stay on the right here. As I open up the wheel back to 100%, then go all the way to the outside. Mind not to touch the grass here, it will kill you. Time to turn in with full throttle, and as I turn in, I'm going to lift around, let's say 50%, and back to 80. And I'm going to stay in 80 for a long time. I'm trying to hug this curb without any dramatic oversteer or understeer from the car. I'm just trying to keep it nice and neutral. And as I open up the wheel and that curb ends, back to 100%, and letting it go to the outside and immediately back to the inside to take a nice short route. That's like half a tenth easy. Just so you know, you want to stay on the inside here. And that will line ourselves up for the Degners. So right before the 50, I would say the 70-ish when we start braking. Peaking very high at around 85-90% and immediate release. So I'm going to release it when I put it in fourth almost completely to around, I don't know, 10%, just trail braking into it. As I clip the curb on the inside, that's all you want to do. You just want to clip it nicely. Car doesn't get too upset. It's better now on the curbs. I'm going to go back to the power to around 70, 80, almost 100% for a very short period of time. Let it go wide. I don't like using the green stuff here. It is possible, but it makes your braking into the second Degner very hard. So I'm gonna brake right around here. No visual markers. This is just flow. This is all about a sequence of corners that you do with muscle memory. It doesn't matter where you are on the track. If you know how much speed you carried into the first corner, you know when to brake for the second one. That's kind of how I look at it. Braking very hard to around 65 and releasing it to around 50 because I don't want to lock up the brakes. And as I put it in second, I'm going to start to turn in quite sharply into the corner, trail braking into it, releasing right before I reach the apex, and already back on the power at this point. Very gradual, around 40-50%. And because of all this camber on the exit, as I open up the wheel, slamming it back to 100. Letting the car run wide. You can use the red curb, not a problem. Try not to use any more of it though, or maybe just a little bit of the green stuff. A little bit more to the left here, you can beach the car and lose 2/10 on the exit very easily. Now I'm looking for a braking point here right before this curb ends, so we're still technically turning. So as I open up the wheel to line myself up to the right, I'm gonna slam the brakes all the way into first gear. So we're braking for a long time here, peaking around 85% and then releasing to around, I don't know, 65, because I want to stay on the brakes for a long time, so I don't want to overheat the tires, don't want to lock up. So around 65 is a good sweet spot for that. Not trying to stay on the right for too long here. This is where all the rubber and the camber is, so I would say 2/3 to the right. That's where you start to turn in the car. And as I put it in first, I'm gonna rotate the car and be very very gentle with the brakes, trail braking all the way into the middle of the corner. And as I reach the middle, back to 50% power, just to give myself a little bit of RPM, a little bit of weight on the back, sell the car and prepare it for a smashing. So I'm gonna smash the throttle from this point as soon as I straighten out the wheel. A little bit of correction here because it doesn't want to kick out a little bit, but we're good. Using all of the track. You can use some of the red curb, that's not a problem. Use just a tiny bit of it. You can use a little bit more. Hug it the whole way through here. Take a nice short route. That's also 1/10 if you hug it nicely. And preparing ourselves for spoon. Now, my way through spoon here is kind of overcooking it on the entry, so I can have a wide approach for the second corner. Now, that allows me to carry a lot of speed on the entry here. It'll be very hard to overtake me here. or outbrake me the way that I take this line. And I'll have a good exit for the back straight. So I'm going to start braking right before this access route. From 5th into 4th. Start to turn in. Trail braking into the first apex. Into 3rd gear now. And almost no brakes here. I'm going to let the car go neutral as I open up the wheel a little bit. A little bit of throttle here just to maintain the back end. Letting the car go all the way to the outside. Putting my left side of the car on this white line. And before this curb kind of ends, I'm going to go back to the brakes just a little bit. You can see around 25%, 20%. And into 2nd as I turn in the car again. I'm going to turn in as late as you can because you want to have a good exit here. And look at how soon I'm back on the power. The reason being, your rear right tire is hot as hell because of that fast entry. So it's going to be very difficult to put the power down on the exit here. In fact, you'll see my oversteer in a second. So I'm going to gradually go into 50% and I'm going to stay on it so the car doesn't drift wide. A little bit of curb strike might have not helped me as much as I thought it would. As I go back to the power right on the exit, I'm going to have a lot of oversteer. I'm going to correct it. The car is still going straight, so I'm okay with it. I can live with it and still pretty good speed on the exit. But if you can avoid it, why not? Going all the way to the red and white curb, maybe even putting a wheel here on this green stuff, but don't go more than that. It will give you an off track. You will beach the car. Immediately to the left and back to the right. I'm going to start to turn in right before the 50 or right at the 50. Clipping this curb nicely will help you avoid understeer so you won't scrub the tires as much. And if you're chasing, I actually really recommend that you clip it nicely so you won't be running so wide. And line the car up to the left. We're going to brake, I would say, at the 125-ish, 130. Right around here is when I commit to full braking. 90% peak, and I'm going to stay on it for, this is the hardest braking point on the track. Staying on it for a long time. Only starting to release it just now as I scrub off most of my speed. So from 260 to 160, I'm going to have to reduce some brakes or else I'm going to start to lock up. But still quite a lot. You can see I'm staying on the right deliberately. I'm not starting to turn. A lot of people have a tendency to start to turn in very early here, and that's a problem. That's gonna ruin your second apex, your second corner, the left-hander. So braking, and as I put it in first gear, I'm gonna start rotating the car quite late on the turn in, just clipping the red and white curb. I don't want to do any more than that. Already back on the power because I want to stabilize the car as it lands. Maintain my speed. A little bit of greediness here. That's good, actually. You can maintain a little bit more speed into the second apex, and immediately lift as I kind of start to turn in for the second one. You can clip this red and white curb a little bit. I didn't, but you know what you lose in route. If you take a longer route and not touch that red curb, you'll gain in stability, so it'll be easier to put the power down. You can go either way. You can clip it, you can avoid clipping it. It's just as quick either way, I think. 40-50%. Back on the power as I straighten out the wheel. A little bit of over rotation, but I'm lining the car up to the inside because that's the shortest route and that's where the rubber is. And that will carry us nicely all the way on the inside, which will give us a 145.401. Hope you guys enjoyed this track guide. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Hop over to my Discord, and that's it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.